What's going on, y'all? J Rides Motor here. Welcome back and Merry Christmas. I'm recording this video on Christmas morning. We've already opened all our presents and all that. And for me personally, I don't know. With the rest of the day, they give you the whole day off, but it's like, dude, you just end up like sitting on your phone for the rest of the day. Am I only alone here? Anyways, welcome back. And as you can tell from the title, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the ZX6R. Dude, I am so thankful I did not buy a 24, 25 ZX6R. They are actually kind of expensive and kind of not necessarily out of my price range, but it's like I don't want to spend that much money on a bike just for it to get totaled because I usually have minimum insurance on it. But I digress. We'll talk about the elephant in the room, the second recall on the 2024 to 2026 ZX6R. And by now, obviously you're not finding out from my channel. You have probably known from just other YouTube channels, Instagram, maybe TikTok, just like the second ZX6R recall happened, right? And I think they got their the owners, at least I was watching from a YouTube channel. He got one about a day ago, but that might have been a week, based off when he recorded that video. But let's just take this step by step, right? The first recall happened in June, and from a screenshot that I'm about to show you, specifically June 27th from this ZX6R owner, if wherever he, posted it on Reddit serves me right. The title states crankshaft bearing seizure, and you guys all know it. It was the number 5 or whatever it was, bolt or something like that. Now, that's actually a very serious recall to have for a Japanese bike, because Japanese, we have this, I guess, reputation for reliability, and that kind of just like, we look at Aprilias, BMWs, and we just like KTMs, they actually have their own set of electrical problems. My friend owned one. We laugh at them in Japanese and we're just like we don't have these issues because, Japanese are such well-built machines, or so we thought, right? So there was also a stop sale document that went to dealers, and, everyone saw that. It had like the, I guess, model codes, it'll say ZX6R, JRFAL, which is like, when I had my CBR, it had like CBR 1000, and it had a bunch of like SJ77 or whatever, like for the 2014 models at least. Now, the specific bushing in the crankshaft was number 5, and I guess when you count it, I don't actually have a photo of it, but if you were to count it, you could look at like, oh, it's the 5th one, and I actually wondered how this happened, because a lot of YouTube channels would just say like, oh, it was the number 5, and they would never go more in depth. Well, we're gonna go more in depth today. I'm not gonna explain the whole thing, but I'll explain how it happened. When I was in the military, there's a chain of command, and sometimes it kind of gets passed down, like orders, op orders, they get passed down like a game of telephone. Seldom would it be orders would lose their original meaning, because you're talking about disciplined professionals, but sometimes things would slip through the cracks and happened. And I'd like to think that's what happened here. Maybe some kind of order or directive got miscommunicated from like a boss to an engineer to the workers, because Kawasaki didn't say how but why. Google tells us that the manufacture process, with the crankshaft bolts, they were over torqued. And by being over torqued, that creates an improper oil balance. As I've said, like, I nowhere near have the knowledge of a mechanic, I'm not like that. But I've read that if a bolt is over torqued, it will cause a distortion. These distortions are not visible to the naked eye, kind of like the bent forks on my CBR when my mechanic opened it up to redo my fork seals. It was kind of like that. Fractions of a micron where you can't see, but they are crucial, right? These small little imperfections are crucial enough to destroy the engine. Little imperfections. It kind of reminds me of that episode in Avatar: The Last Airbender when Aang and Katara are in like the drill, and they create little imperfections to destroy the drill from the inside out. That's kind of like what the ZX6R engine is doing. I don't know why, that just came to mind. Like that literally matches exactly what happened. Little imperfections in the engine basically caused the whole thing to seize up, which kind of sucks. I mean, it was all crankshaft, bearing number 5, whatever. But it's kind of insane to think that if it's over torqued just by a little bit, that literally can cause engine seizure. So whenever you're rebuilding an engine, or engineers are putting together an engine, it's so crucial for these components to be torqued to an exact spec. That's when people say torque spec, especially with chains. Chains, it'll snap. Like, I guess it's not the end of the world compared to like an engine bearing, but everything is still so dangerous and needs to be done to a specific torque spec. Now, as we talked about, when a bolt is torqued correctly in an engine, clamping force is even, the crank remains straight and round. When the bolt is over torqued, the clamping force is going to exceed elastic design limits. Metal is going to enter with like microplastic deformations, and the crank doesn't snap back perfectly. Kind of like think of it with like a soda can, right before it visibly dents, it's already changed shape, right? You just can't see it. And I think a lot of people were disappointed, and disappointed, pissed, and surprised that Kawasaki, out of all the brands, had a major recall, because you just don't see that with the Kawasaki. You see that with like BMWs, Aprilias, KTMs especially. So imagine saving up like all your Christmas bonuses, working overtime, or rather just saving money for a brand new ZX6R in this economy when everything is inflated. Now, just note that not every single ZX6R for the 24 to 26 was affected. Some were running just fine, but however, for the bad apples, right, the interval for them blowing up was around like 5,000 to 6,000 miles, with even one on Reddit, his was blowing up at like, I think his blew up at 6,500 miles, which, I mean, that sucks, that's just enough to start to like feel it and start to get even comfortable with the power and just be like, yeah, like I love this bike. And his blew up, and I felt so bad. He was sitting on the side of the highway, but that was like 3 months ago, so hopefully he got his fixed now, right? Now, I couldn't find the date for this screenshot, but at some point, ZX6R owners got a do not ride letter, which it just felt like a slap in the face, because it takes a certain person to save up all that money, $12,000 plus tax, which is usually $2,000 with dealer fees and all that, and just buy a brand new machine and be like, yeah, like I'm going to trust Kawasaki to build a good machine, versus just waiting on Facebook for like a decently cared for 600 that's obviously older, but they actually objectively look better, if in my opinion, but it sucks, dude. Now, if you're new to motorcycles or don't understand what happens when a bike blows up when you're on it, hey guys, I'm J Rides Moto. I can tell you firsthand, I blew up my friend's 2012 Yamaha R6 at the beginning of last season, if you guys have seen that video.
Oh my gosh, man. Holy, what the just happened? Holy, is it about to blow up, dude?
No, the motor's blowing up.
Kick that down for me, please.
You good?
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't because Yamaha built a bad engine, it was because he didn't fill it with oil. Essentially, I think we were going 83 northbound, and I just was redlining it. He had told me that the engine oil light came on 3 days ago, and he just ignored it, and it went away. Because he just doesn't ride his bike the same way I do. He kind of cruises, sometimes he'll rip, but like obviously that day, I was pushing his R6 to the limit. And if you guys don't know, when a engine blows up, it kind of feels like it sounds like a loud clunk or pop when metal grinds on metal. Smoke rises up like you're stepping into a damn haunted house, and just oil just spews everywhere. That's what it's like to have an engine blow up on you. And the reason why this is so dangerous is not only because could you lock up the rear tire, but according to Newton's, I don't know which laws, but obviously one of Newton's laws, that force has to go somewhere, right? An object that's in motion stays in motion or something like that. So you could get bucked off the bike because, like I said, that force has to go somewhere. And not only are you killing the heart of the bike, which thank God Kawasaki is doing the recall free of charge, because it'd be screwed up if there was like a co-payment, just like health insurance. That would piss a lot of ZX6R owners off, I would imagine. But yeah, so it's dangerous because you could literally crash and your bike is blown up. You don't have a super sport to rip down the highway during the season, and you've just spent like probably around 12,000 to 13,000, even 14,000 if you get like the special edition, I would imagine, when Kawasaki has those promos on a bike that you can't even ride. So it just sucks, dude. Now, you guys probably watch a bunch of YouTube videos about the crankshaft number 5 bearing seizing up, and you would just think that's the end of the story. Okay, there's a recall, Kawasaki's gonna fix it. No, and this really put the nail in the coffin for people like me who are never ever going to buy another Kawasaki. Well, I wouldn't say never ever. Like I would be maybe okay with buying like a 2023 and below, but after that, dude, like I'm gonna wait 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 like years before Kawasaki gets their act together. And it's like, well, I guess that's not fair to judge them, but like until I see like serious improvement, serious reliability, right? Because you just don't see this stuff with Hondas. Like they haven't, I don't think they've had like that many recalls for crucial stuff over the years like Kawasaki might have. I mean, this is their first major recall in a while, so I would think so. I'm not really in the news on that too much, but you know, everyone knew about this. But hey, that's the thing with Honda. They have a reputation for being so reliable. Just not updating their dashes or, you know, providing gear indicators, but we can look past that. I think so. Okay, anyways, back to the story, guys. So time was not on Kawasaki's side, and like, I will disclaim that I'm just a commentator. There's a lot I don't know or understand about operation orders, sales timing, and dealer contracts that are probably all varying factors that affected the second recall letter that had to go to owners, right? And actually, yes, you heard that right. There was a second recall letter that went out to owners. This one is kind of fairly new, but you guys can watch B Mason's channel. He's another motorcycle YouTuber. He has he is somewhere between a 24 and 26 ZX6R, and just take a listen to what he has to say.
So what's going on here? How involved in this are you going to have to be? Well, as it turns out, if you're familiar with the first run of recalls on these motorcycles, this third letter on the second run of recalls is going to sound a whole like, well, second verse, same as the first. I'll just read this to you. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but here's what the fix is. It says, what will your dealer do? Dealers will inspect the number 5 metal crankshaft bearing on all eligible units already in operation. Keep that in the back of your head. Free of charge, by the way. Thank you, Kawasaki. If there is no abnormality with or damage to the bearing, the bolts holding the crankshaft in the crankcase must be retightened properly. If there is any abnormality with or damage to the bearing, the parts must be replaced and the crankshaft properly tightened, or the engine must otherwise be repaired or replaced. It's an 11-hour fix if they have to do the latter. 1 hour inspection and retorque if the former. So what exactly does this mean? Well, for some of us, this just reads the same way that the first round of recalls went, and it pretty much validates what we all thought was the situation from the get. If your bike went through the initial phase of recalls where it was retorqued at the factory before it was ever registered, you're probably fine is the way that I'm reading this, because
Yeah, so that was just a clip, but I'll link the full video down below if you want to watch it. And if you're a little confused about it, you know, he had a lot of good information in there, and it's good to hear from a ZX6R owner, like, you know, like how he feels about it, right? Because he actually owns it. I don't own it. But the timeline went as follows. So in April 2023 to July of 2025, the faulty assembly process, that's when they were like getting assembles on the cranks and the mistake was happening on it, right? June of 2025, Kawasaki actually identified the issue with over torquing and the potential number 5 bushing issue. May 2025, factory process eventually corrected for the bolts. Now post June 2025, the recall is issued for all the effective VINs, which is from 2024 to 2026. Now, like I said, it's a common misconception. Hell, before I did all my research for this video, I even thought this, right? So if the issue was found mid 2025, why would the 2026 models have the same issue? It doesn't make any sense. But then after researching the 2026 models, I found out they're actually built and assembled mid 2025, before that new bolt procedure was fully implemented. This is why we were talking about dealer contracts, you know, operations orders. They have a certain timeline, and you know, obviously it's like factory secrets. It's like, when are we releasing our model to our competitors with Yamahas? No one really needs to know that, and it's not going to be transparent. There's always going to be a little bit of confusion with it, right? Because it's just how like competitors and, you know, factory releases and all that. But that's why that 3-year period makes sense. Like the 2024 models were the first one to show up with the issue, and I guess supposedly the 2026 models will cease all this bull that Kawasaki served us up with a $12,000 price tag on it. I don't know what, like, don't think I'm mad because I'm not ever gonna buy like a 636 from this model year or a 636 for, you know, for probably the next 10 years. I don't really want to because it's expensive, but you know, it just sucks because Ninja 400 was my first bike and I'm like, yeah, like I trust Kawasaki. They're reliable, they're Japanese, they're powerful, they're competitive, they're sexy looking. But now I'm like, dude, like Kawasaki, man, come on. I mean, dude, there's even a story on Reddit because when I was doing my research, I like going on Reddit because a lot of the times they have like objective opinions and they're not like, they are Kawasaki fanboys, yeah, but like they're gonna give you your honest opinion. There was literally like a story where this guy had his 2024 ZXXR serviced, right? He bought it in April of 2024, you know, it was running fine. We didn't really know anything about the recall. And then in December, I guess his engine seized, aka it blew up, right? He had to go through a 5-month repair ordeal, which I know what that's like, with having to like deal with companies trying to get you a refund or get something done. You have to go back and forth with managers, workers being like, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what the company is promising. So I can only imagine how much like the headache this guy had to go through for 5 months of trying to get his engine rebuilt or whatever parts needed to get rebuilt on it, right? And he actually has screenshots of the labor reports, which you guys will see. But like, so he bought it, whatever, and I guess maybe he bought it in full, who knows, but he bought the actual bike, right? And then he spends 5 months, right, trying to get it repaired. Then on June 5th, he literally got the do not ride order. So you buy your bike. It's like, it's so silly. You buy it, then you've spent 5 months with the recall, then they say like, oh, screw you, you can't ride your bike. Like that is the worst. Oh my god, dude. I'm just gonna link this Reddit article to you guys in the description. It's insane. And then he says that Kawasaki tried to silence him, which in the post, I guess he'll explain that. I'm not gonna speak for him. I'm only speaking for the mechanical parts of it. If you want to go ahead and read that article, I will link that in the description below. I'm not trying to poison the well or anything, but if this is happening with the ZXXR, there is a small possibility that it could happen with the 10R, right? Now, I'm not going to try to like badmouth it. I mean, everyone knows that the 10R, like, I feel bad for these engineers, man. They're already taking enough slander from everyone on the internet, and then they make the new 10R look like the 6R, but that's a completely separate issue. You've probably seen that on TikTok and Instagram, but whatever. I just hope the 10R doesn't have these issues, but I mean, time will tell. Like, I'm not 100% anti Kawasaki. You guys know I literally started on a Ninja 400. I still think that's like the best all-around bike. If you had to have one bike for the rest of your life, that might be the best all around, right? But yeah, dude, just imagine being stuck in repair limbo just to be slapped with a do not ride order from Kawasaki. Dude, I don't know. If you own a 2024 to 2026 Kawasaki, just know I am so sorry that, you know, you trusted Kawasaki and you thought you were going to get a good bike, but hopefully you can sell it on Marketplace for, you know, what you actually bought it for. But, you know, I'm still looking for bikes. I'm leaning towards a 750. I'll get a 600 if need be. You know, they're very annoying to ride, but I'd rather take a 600 over no Super Sport. I'd rather take a Gixxer 600 over a ZXXR at this point, because I don't know, man. I'm very thankful to have enough money to actually afford bikes at my age. But yeah, guys, you probably have just heard all this from other channels. I kind of just wanted to give my 2 cents and be like, you know, this is my thoughts, and I'm very thankful I didn't buy a 2024 to 2026 ZXXR. But as I've said, guys, just try, if you have one, just try to make the best of it. But yeah, guys, with that being said, just I guess like, subscribe, and this is my Christmas gift to you. If I actually get this out on Christmas Day, I'll be happy. But yeah, and if I don't make a video during New Year's, I hope you guys have a new year. And spring is coming. Spring is coming in 4 or 5 months, and I am so excited. We're gonna finally start riding again, and hopefully get a new bike. I am so excited. So yeah, guys, with that all being said, just like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, have a happy new year.